Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's edition of the Black and Gold Breakdown. Friday, May 10th. Steelers begin rookie mini camp today, so we get to see the first look of these guys on the field in some way, shape, or form, in some form of Steelers garments for the first time in their careers. A few noteworthy things to touch on that came out today from day one of Steelers rookie minicamp. I was not there in person. I will be at mandatory minicamp for the entire team, and then I'll be at OTAs as well. But a lot of great people on the beat doing a lot of great work today. So keep up with the likes of Alan Saunders, Nick Farabaugh, Noah Strackbine, Chris Carter, all those folks from Steelers Now, the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, and All Steelers, respectively. They do a great job when they're in the facility every single day. So they did terrific, as they usually do. And there were some noteworthy things to talk about from day one of rookie minicamp. The first being that Troy Fautanu, first round pick out of Washington, was taking reps mostly at right tackle. There was a lot of speculation on whether would he stick at left tackle and would Broderick Jones stay at right tackle where he played last year, or would they move Fautanu to right tackle and would they move Broderick Jones back to left tackle? Omar Khan had been pretty adamant that they drafted Broderick Jones to be a left tackle, and that the hopes were that he would be playing on that side. And so with Fautanu in his first day doing anything on field related with Pittsburgh, the fact that it ended up being that he is playing right tackle, again, it's just day one, but the fact that they had him doing right tackle immediately, that pretty much confirms what Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin have been saying, is that they want Broderick Jones to move back to that left side because they drafted him to be a left tackle, and then Troy Fautanu will be playing on the right side, which that kind of gives us a clearer picture of what the offensive line will look like. Again, we kind of speculated about, okay, it'll maybe look like this, but I've said since they drafted Fautanu, it'll probably be from left to right: Broderick Jones, Isaac Samalu, Zach Frazier, James Daniels, and then Fautanu to round out the group. I think it was Nick Farabaugh that said, or might have been Alan Saunders, that said that his locker, Troy Fautanu's locker, is right next to Isaac Samalu. And Fautanu said in his intro presser that he was a big fan of Isaac. And so I think I'll have to pull up the exact quote, but he said that he apologizes in advance because he's going to ask him a bunch of questions. He's going to be constantly just like trying to get pointers from him and things of that nature. So it's nice to see a guy like so excited to play with somebody. And it's very clear. It's been very clear since Fautanu got drafted that he's excited to play with Isaac Samalu. So their lockers are next to one another. That's nice. But that gives us a little bit of a clearer picture of what the offensive line will look like in terms of the lineup in 2024, with Fautanu taking reps mostly at right tackle. And again, from left to right, it'll probably be Broderick Jones, Isaac Samalu, Zach Frazier, James Daniels, and then Fautanu to round out the group. And that's so much better of a group than what they've had over the past few years, where it's been, Mason Cole, Kendrick Green, a little hint of Trey Turner, Dan Moore. Like, they've just had some bad offensive line play over the past 3 years, ever since 2020. They've just had really bad offensive line play. And so this should be the best unit that they've had in a minute, which is good to see. Excuse me. Other notes: Roman Wilson, in the few video clips that were put out onto social media, he looked good. Got vocal praise from new wide receivers coach Zach Azzani. during drills. So it was nice seeing Roman Wilson get his first reps in some form of Steelers uniform, albeit practice uniform. But again, just really excited to see all these guys suited up, in helmets, doing drills, taking reps, all of that. It's just good to see them, on the field down at the Rooney Sports Complex on the south side. It was nice to see. We're going to see more of this through minicamp, OTAs, and then eventually training camp, which, again, hey, about 2.5 months away is training camp. And again, it might sound pretty far, but the Super Bowl was more than 3 months ago. Super Bowl doesn't feel all that long ago to me. And there's less time from now till training camp than there was from now to the Super Bowl. So it'll be here before you know it, which is very exciting. And yeah, I'm excited to see them in person at minicamp, at OTAs, and now obviously at training camp. And of course, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do so, and then you'll get my firsthand reports, reactions from what I see. And then, of course, you can find the written content for all of that over at Touchdown Wire for USA Today and Behind the Steel Curtain. So a ton of places that you can find the content. But if you'd rather watch it and listen to me talk about it, absolutely subscribe to the channel. And be sure to tune in each week night for the rest of the off season. I'm going to try to do these around 7:30 from Monday through Friday. But that was, hearing everything about Fautanu lining up on the right side, that's music to my ears, because I think that just makes sense to put him there and move Broderick Jones back to the left side where he's more comfortable. But Fautanu has insisted that, he can play anywhere on the offensive line. There's talks about him being the center after they drafted him day one. But Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan reiterated, no, he's a tackle. We drafted him to be a tackle. That's what we want. So he's going to play right tackle from the looks of it. Broderick Jones back to the left side. And, hey, it's a much better offensive line than what they have had, which is very, very exciting. Do you think with Fautanu the right side means the end of Dan Moore? Yes, I very much do. No reason for Dan Moore to start. He's not good. This is the last year of his contract as well. So it's fine to have him as a backup for the year. He's a guy that can step in and, get you through a few games and whatnot, but not a guy that you want starting at this point. There's a reason why they've drafted tackles in back-to-back years in the first rounds, because Dan Moore isn't good. So, yeah, I think that this will probably end the Dan Moore experiment with a bullet. Thank the Lord. Nothing against Dan Moore as a person. Don't know him as a person. But just not getting the job done. So, yeah, I do think that Fautanu being on the right side all but confirms that Dan Moore won't be starting, which that's a good thing. It's a very good thing. Other notes. I do want to pull up this full quote because don't want to get wrong what Payton Wilson said today. So again, shout out to the great people of Steelers Now and the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. But Alan Saunders had posted a quote from Payton Wilson, but also just his performance today as well. So Payton Wilson on day one was already calling the defense at rookie minicamp. And according to Alan Saunders, the Steelers now look super poised in interviews and referred to not having an ACL as his, quote, bum knee, which is just a hilarious way to refer to that. But Payton Wilson himself also added that his knees aren't bothering him. He said, I've been playing like this for so long. It doesn't bother me. My knees don't bother me. I'm not going to have a problem with it. So that's great to hear in terms of everybody was freaking out ahead of the draft process about Payton Wilson's injury history. But, these injuries haven't impacted him for 2 years. He played in 11 games in 2022, played in 12 games in 2023. Any injuries that he's had in the past haven't affected him in north of 2 years. And he kind of reiterated that today. And again, that's another guy who very high on. Steelers were surprised to have him fall all the way to 98. And apparently he looked really, really good today in his first day of rookie minicamp. Again, was calling the defense from on day one. Looked super poised, both on the field and in interviews. Just seems to really carry himself like a vet, which is, just a good quality to have as a rookie, and somebody that, if you can be dependent on, hey, that's just a good quality for him to have. One of the guys I'm most excited about seeing is Payton Wilson. So to hear that already he's impressing on day one, that's music to my ears. You're painfully waiting until June 1st. We'll see if anything happens on that front in terms of a trade. Do you think Wilson will end up being a starter this year? I think so. Again, he might not start the year as a starter, but it won't surprise me if he and Patrick Queen are the two preliminary linebackers. But Elandon Roberts is still, regardless, going to have a lot of snaps. I mean, he's their best run stopper at that spot right now. And Payton Wilson might emerge into that because he was really good at that at North Carolina State. But as of right now, I mean, he and Patrick Queen are their two best linebackers. But Elandon Roberts, I mean, if Elandon Roberts is your third linebacker, you got a pretty good off-ball linebacker group. Because Elandon Roberts was really good last year. But he's more so, the run-stopping situation type of guy. But all three of them will get plenty of playing time for sure, with Patrick Queen being the one. And then we'll find out eventually if Payton Wilson ends up taking that spot next to him, or if it'll be Elandon Roberts for, a certain amount of time. But if I had to guess, I think that he'll be a starter before the end of the year. And I've said it, I think next year he's wearing the green dot. Sincerely believe that. Now, that doesn't mean that they won't bring back Elandon Roberts, because I think it would make sense to bring back Elandon Roberts. You won't have to pay him a ton of money. That's a really good third linebacker to have. So I think that by next year, Payton Wilson will have the green dot, but that doesn't mean that Elandon Roberts won't be able to be brought back in some capacity, because I like Elandon Roberts a lot. I think he's a really good linebacker. It would make sense to keep all three of them for as long as you can, because they're all good. And they all serve, certain roles. Those are the two biggest pieces of news coming out of minicamp today. Was Payton Wilson wowing on day one, and Troy Fautanu taking reps mostly at right tackle, which kind of signifies that the Steelers are leaning toward him being the right tackle, and then moving Broderick Jones back over to his natural side at left tackle, which, again, all offseason, Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin have kind of reiterated, hey, we drafted him to be a left tackle. That's where we want him to play. And so today, again, it's only day one of minicamp, but the fact that Fautanu took mostly reps on the right side, we can assume that that's the ultimate goal. And it's good to, if that is their plan, it's good to just really hammer that home right away with Fautanu. Like, hey, you're playing the right side. We're going to make sure that you're as well equipped to do that as we can. So that makes sense from both a player and organization standpoint. So I'm excited. And again, can't wait to see these guys at mandatory minicamp when all the vets are there as well, at OTAs, and then, of course, for training camp, which I'll be there for a select number of days. So, and again, off season's going by quicker than you think. Day by day, we get closer and closer to camp being here. Once you get me to camp, then the rest of it just flies. So I'm very excited. Very excited. And again, I hope you follow along with the content. So subscribe to the channel, read all the written content over at Behind the Steel Curtain and Touchdown Wire for USA Today, and keep up with it. O-line should finally not be a weakness, hopefully. Yeah, I think the offensive line is going to be good, man. I'm very excited. Very excited. Now, this is the second straight year that like they've had a draft class that just excites everybody, where and they didn't have to move. Didn't have to move at all. They stayed put with all four of their top draft picks. Well, all of their draft picks in the draft, and they got a nice haul. Obviously, we won't know how good it is until it plays out on the field. But just on paper, it looks tremendous. So, yeah, I'm excited. Very excited. And if you have any other questions relating to this, relating to it, then feel free to drop them. But I did say that we would do a mock schedule today. We're still going to do that. I was thinking about saving it till Monday, but the schedule is going to come out in 5 days. So we might as well do it now. We'll think of something else to talk about on Monday. And then next week when the schedule does come out, we'll do a whole show on that too. So still going to do the mock schedule, which we'll start right now. Let me pull it up on my notes here. Oh, goodness gracious. You know, you'd think that all the things that I said, there we go. All right. Let me pull up, you know, we've graduated from mock drafts to mock schedules. And you guys know I don't like mock drafts. Mock schedules, I kind of like. This was fun. I enjoyed that a lot. So this is how I see the Steelers schedule playing out. And if you have any other ideas on how it could look, drop them in the comments and we'll talk about it after. So week 1, last year they started off at home for the first time in like 10 years. It always happens that the Pirates are playing at home on that weekend for whatever reason. And so if that's the case, the Steelers got to play away because they share parking. So the Pirates are playing at home the expected weekend for week 1. So it looks like the Steelers will be on the road. And if that's the case, I could see them doing the Russell Wilson revenge game part 2 on Monday Night Football and running Steelers-Broncos Monday night as part of the Monday night doubleheader for week 1. For the reasons I just said, they did it 2 years ago. The Steelers got to play away week 1 more than likely anyway. You might as well do it now. So Steelers-Broncos week 1, Monday Night Football. I don't want that to be the case because I hate when they play on Monday night, much less when they open on Monday night. They opened on Monday night against Washington in 2016, and I was irritated. Oh, I hated it. So I'm going to be angry about this, but I think that that's a very big possibility that that's one of the Monday night games that week. Week 2, home opener against the New York Giants, 1 o'clock on Fox. If that's the case, I mean, that's a pretty decent shot the Steelers start off 2-0. The Giants are going to be bad. Like defensively, they got a little bit more fun because they added Brian Burns, but they've got no one worth anything playing quarterback. They don't have anybody at running back. Don't really have a ton of talent outside of Malik Neighbors at receiver. So home opener against a bad Giants team that might have the number 1 overall pick in this year's draft or the 2025 draft. I think they're going to be pretty bad. So that should be a win. So there's a good chance they start off 2-0. Week 3, another home game, their first divisional game against the Baltimore Ravens. 1 o'clock on CBS. A few years ago, they didn't play the Ravens. I think it was in 2022. They didn't play the Ravens until week 15. Don't think that's going to happen. I think they'll have an early game and then a late game against them. So starting off division play in week 3 against Baltimore. All right, week 4 at the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, another 1 o'clock game. Pittsburgh has not won in Philadelphia since 1965. And the last time they were there, they lost 35-13. The only touchdown they scored was a Chase Claypool touchdown pass to Derek Watt. So that kind of puts into perspective. The last couple times they've gone there, they've got the hell beat out of them. The time before that, they played in Philadelphia in 2016. And they got the absolute piss beat out of them by the Carson Wentz-led Eagles. So, yeah, playing in Philadelphia just isn't their thing. They haven't won there since 65. They play them in this mock schedule. I think they'll play them early in the season. So travel to Philadelphia week 4. Again, another 1 o'clock game on CBS. Okay, first late afternoon game. Week 5, traveling to the Las Vegas Raiders. That one would be the 4:15, 4:25 kickoff. They've won the last 2 games against the Raiders, including last year in week 3 on Sunday Night Football. So, historically, the Raiders have had their number, especially over the past 2 decades or so, but the Steelers have won the last 2. And I think that an early season matchup between the Steelers and Raiders could go in the Steelers' favor. And you look at that early 5 weeks. I mean, the Broncos, the Giants, Ravens, Eagles would be tough, but the Steelers always play the Ravens well. And then the Raiders, I mean, there's a really nice chance they start off worst case scenario 3-2. So that would be a dream start in terms of the teams. You could realistically make the case to go 4-1. But 3-2 for those 5 would be great. Okay, second primetime game. This one on Sunday Night Football. Returning home, the Steelers host the New York Jets on Sunday night. The Steelers are 1-3 against the Jets in their last 4 games, but they do lead the all-time series 20-7. So historically, they own New York, but the Jets have had their number as of late. Steelers hosting Aaron Rodgers. Those 2 great defenses. I think that would be a perfect candidate to put in an early October slot for Sunday Night Football. Week 7, I think they'll have an earlier bye week this year. So I think week 7 feels... Actually, wasn't there bye week 7 last year? It might have been week 8. It might have been week 7. I didn't do that on purpose. But week 7, their bye week. Week 8, I'm saying this will be their first game against the Cincinnati Bengals. It will be at home, 1 o'clock on CBS. I think the Bengals are going to be really good. I won't be surprised if the Bengals sweep the Steelers. So that won't be an easy game. Week 9, another primetime game. Thursday Night Football against the Washington Commanders. Commanders have played in some really bad Thursday night games over the past few years, so a mid-season Thursday night game feels right up their alley. Steelers playing Jaden Daniels, second overall pick. At least there's something for Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit to talk about there. I think it'll be a boring game. I think the Steelers should win that game. But yeah, Thursday night, week 9 against the Washington Commanders. All right, week 10, their second late afternoon game. Steelers hosting the Kansas City Chiefs. The last time they hosted Patrick Mahomes, he threw 6 touchdowns. And the last 2 games the Steelers have played the Chiefs, they've been outscored 78-31. So got to find a way to slow down Mahomes. So hopefully the defense comes to play. Hopefully the offense can put up some points. But if both defenses live up to their respective hypes, it'll be a lower scoring game than expected. So that'll probably be their toughest game of the year against the best quarterback in football, the 2-time reigning defending champions, week 10, 4:25 on CBS. Okay, week 11, I have Pittsburgh traveling to Atlanta to play the Falcons. This will be a 1 o'clock game on Fox. Again, I'm pretty high on the Falcons. I think that they'll win the NFC South pretty handedly, mostly because that division's not good. That won't be an easy game. They got a good defense. Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. They got a lot of weapons on offense. So that'll be a game that, what can I compare it to? Remember in 2006, they went to Atlanta, Ben versus Mike Vick. The Steelers lost the game in overtime, but it was a fun game to watch and it was high scoring. Coffee break. Okay. Week 12. Another primetime game. Projecting that the Steelers will host the Browns on Sunday Night Football. That's the first matchup between the Steelers and Browns. Comes a little bit later in the year in week 12. Didn't they play on Sunday night in 2022 at some point? Maybe I'm making that up in my head. I know they played the Browns on Monday night last year, so second straight year at least of the Steelers playing the Browns in primetime. And then the following week, their second matchup with the Bengals in Cincinnati. I think that'll be another 1 o'clock game on CBS right around Thanksgiving. And then the Steelers host the Chargers week 14. I had a note for that. Maybe I didn't. They'll be seeing a lot of former faces. They'll be seeing Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, Greg Roman, 3 guys that they faced off consistently against when they were all in Baltimore. This is going to be Justin Herbert's first trip to Pittsburgh, now that I think about it. Because the last time they played was in Los Angeles. And the last time that the Chargers came to Pittsburgh was 2018. So Justin Herbert's first trip to Pittsburgh, a lot of local Steelers fans will get to see him for the first time, in person at least. Week 15, the Steelers wrap up their season series against the Ravens in Baltimore. Very well could be for playoff standing. I think both teams are going to be in the wild card hunt for sure. But the Steelers wrap up their season series with the Ravens in week 15. Again, another 1:00 game on CBS. Week 16, the Steelers have played on Saturday in each of the last 2 years. So why not give them another one? Steelers host the Cowboys 4:25 Eastern on Saturday on NBC. The last time that the Steelers beat the Cowboys at home, they won the Super Bowl in 2008. The last time that they hosted the Cowboys at home was that atrocious game where Ben and AB connected on the fake spike touchdown, and then Ezekiel Elliott ran untouched with like 12 seconds left to score and win the game. So that was annoying. But the last time the Steelers beat the Cowboys at home, they won the Super Bowl. So just a fun little nugget. Week 17. By the way, week 16 would be their home finale. Again, you could probably switch week 16 and 17 in terms of how you'd want to do the order. If you wanted to give them the home finale in week 17 or 18, you can do that. But this is me just spitballing. Week 17, the Steelers travel back to Indianapolis for the third consecutive year they go to Indianapolis to face the Colts. We know what happened last year. Really, that was the first domino to fall that led to Mason Rudolph getting in. And then without that game, all the changes that were made this offseason probably don't get changed. So thanks, Mitch Trubisky. But I think the Steelers will go to Indianapolis week 17. Again, another 1:00 game on CBS. And then they'll wrap up the season week 18 in Cleveland against the Browns. And then we'll find out if they get into the playoffs or not. So that is my Steelers mock schedule. Voila. So again, if you have any ideas on what games should be played when, feel free to drop them in the comments. We can talk about it real quick. I was at the 2018 Chargers game. First half was awesome. Second half was blatantly rigged. No game is rigged. I know that fans always want to say games are rigged. They're not. Refs stink sometimes. Absolutely, sure. No game's rigged. No, refs just stink sometimes. It's my overall thoughts on it. That game was horrible, though. Steelers played god-awful defense in the second half. Just let the Chargers march down the field on them. Keenan Allen went off that game. That was a very annoying game as a fan. And again, that was part of that downfall that they had that season, because they started off the year something like 6-2-1, and then lost 3 straight, and finished off the year 9-6-1. Didn't make the playoffs. And that was Antonio. Was that Antonio Brown? Yeah, it was Antonio Brown's last year. The Steelers. Yeah. But yeah, refs are horrible. No games are rigged. I know there's plenty of bad officiating across. No games are rigged. Can't believe I missed a stream. Hi, Worthy. Good to see you. But in terms of the most notable games, is that when they put linebackers on Keenan Allen all game? That is the game they put linebackers on Keenan Allen all game. The Keith Butler special. Yeah, that was horrible. They saw that they were just, okay, you're going to keep putting a linebacker over our slot receiver. Okay, we'll just keep eating you alive. And they did. They did. Yeah, that was an annoying game. 11-6. It's possible. It's very possible. But in terms of like the most notable games for me, obviously week 1, I think it's very possible they start them off on Monday night against the Broncos. Even if it's not on Monday night, I think that Denver week 1 is definitely a possibility where it could be like one of the 4:15 games on CBS. So that's certainly a possibility. And again, if you're just joining, this is just a mock schedule. Schedule's not coming out until the 10th or the 15th of May. So another 5 days if you're watching this live. But just a mock schedule right now. Any chance they add an 18th game? Probably in the next few years, yeah. I don't want them to, but probably, if I had to guess, yeah. I know Goodell wants to. I think 17's like the most you can get away with. I don't want to see 18 game regular seasons. I don't. Really don't. I thought 16 was the perfect number, if I'm being perfectly honest. I can live with 17. 17's fine. I don't need to see an 18 game regular season. I really don't. Really hope not. But it'll probably get done because the owners will make more money. But if they do that, they need to give the players an extra bye week. And that wouldn't hurt the league whatsoever because it would give them at least one extra week of games, which will factor into TV deals and everything of that nature. So if and when they do increase to 18 games, they need to give teams 2 bye weeks because that would just be too much. I don't want 18 games. I think 17 is the perfect number. I think 16 was the perfect number. 17 you can get away with. 18, man, is just too much. I definitely don't want like 20. 20 is just dumb. Don't do that. I think 17's good. 17 game season, fine. That's cool. Do a 17 game season. But you can't talk about player safety and preaching player safety and then add another game. I think it's just I'm just not a fan of it. Look at the NFL international marketing during the draft. The season could change in order to play more games in other countries. I think we'll see more international play for sure. In recent years, they started going to Germany now every year. I think they've done a yearly game in Mexico. I think that'll keep taking place. Obviously, the games in London and throughout England. So, I'm not sure where else they would like to go. Ireland could be a possibility. They've done like preseason games in Ireland before. They did one in Japan before, but I think Europe is going to be the most targeted place in terms of like going overseas. But again, I've also been very loud about like not liking the overseas games. That's just more so just like for the players. That's just got to be such a pain in the ass. To fly overseas, do all your stuff that week, fly back. That's just, it's got to be such a pain. So in terms of like thinking of a player, I can't imagine that they enjoy it. And sure, I'm sure it's cool to, see London and everything or see Germany and everything. But for them, I mean, they're working, So it's cool for the overseas fans to see something in person and everything, but just from like a pure player's perspective, I'm sure it sucks. I'm sure it's not great. But yeah, I think that an 18th game eventually will be added. Again, don't think it should be. I think it's perfectly fine at 17. I thought it was really good at 16. But I think 17 should be the cap. And we'll see. I don't think the next CBA is up for a little bit though. So are season ticket holders forced to buy the international? No. Pretty sure they're not, at least. I don't think that you'd be charged for that. I agree. Serious ass pain for overseas game. However, the games are packing. Yeah, no, there's a reason that they do them. So I get it. But yeah, definitely a pain in the butt. Build Omar statue if he gets DK Metcalf and Rashee Rice. I don't want Rashee Rice. That's a headache. He's not good enough to warrant that headache. Don't need it. By the way, what's wrong with 20? It's too much. It's too many games. Like, the great thing about the NFL is that, there's only a certain amount. Like, that's what makes it so cool. Once you get into 20, that's just too many games, man. I don't like it. So 17's good. I think that's the perfect cap. I was skeptical when they went to 17. I was like, come on, man. Like, 16's good. But no, keep it at 17. That's a fine number. 20 games is no. I think it's dumb. But again, just to run through real quick, the Steelers' mock schedule. My mock schedule, at least. I'm just going to go game by game. You're not going to really give notes. But week 1, Steelers at Broncos on Monday Night Football. Week 2, Steelers hosting the Giants, 1 o'clock on Fox. Week 3, Steelers hosting the Ravens, 1 o'clock CBS. Week 4, Steelers at Eagles, 1 o'clock CBS. Week 5, Steelers at Raiders, 4:25 on CBS. Week 6, Sunday Night Football, Steelers host the Jets. Week 7, bye week. Week 8, Steelers host the Bengals, 1 o'clock CBS. Week 9, Steelers at Commanders on Thursday Night Football. Week 10, Steelers versus Chiefs, 4:25 CBS. Week 11, Steelers at Falcons on Fox at 1 o'clock. Week 12, Steelers host the Browns on Sunday Night Football. Week 13, Steelers at Bengals, 1 o'clock CBS. Week 14, Steelers versus Chargers, 1 o'clock CBS. Week 15, Steelers at Ravens, 1 o'clock CBS. Week 16, Steelers hosting the Cowboys on special Saturday, 4:25 on NBC. Week 17 at Colts, 1 o'clock CBS. Week 18 at Browns, 1 o'clock CBS. That's my mock schedule. And again, if you're just tuning in live, we talked about rookie minicamp at the beginning of the show. Payton Wilson was wowing people today in terms of just how he handled the media, his veteran prowess. And he also said, my knees aren't bothering me. Knees don't bother me. They haven't bothered me in 2 years. So he's incredibly confident in his health and his on-field ability. He was calling the defense today in drills. So he's looking fantastic from day one. And Troy Fautanu is playing on the right side. At least right now in rookie minicamp is taking reps on the right side, which would indicate that they're going to put him at right tackle and Broderick Jones at left tackle. So, and again, great shout out to all of my, my beat writing friends, Nick Faribaugh, Alan Saunders, Chris Carter, Noah Strackbine, all of them down in the South Side today for day one of rookie minicamp. They've done tremendous on-site coverage. So, yeah, a few noteworthy things from day one of rookie minicamp. It's always nice to have some positive things to talk about in May. Ravens at Chiefs is a potential game for opening night. I hope it's Texans-Chiefs, personally. I think that would be cool. But at the same time, I would love to watch the Chiefs beat the Ravens to open the season. So I'm cool with either of those. I think that would be great. Denver week 1 just makes too much sense. I just hate that it's in Mile High. Yeah, it does make too much sense. I think that's what they're going to do. Again, even if it's not on Monday night, I could see them running back Bills-Jets on Monday night from last year and just saying, okay, stay healthy, Aaron. That might just be too much bad juju. They might just try to avoid that altogether. But if it's not on Monday night, it'll be the 4:25 game on CBS. Or one of them. I think there's like 3 each week when everybody plays. So it'll be one of the 3 late games for CBS. So it'll be nice. But it just makes too much sense for it to not be week 1. They did the whole Russ revenge thing 2 years ago against Seattle. In Seattle, they're going to do it again. So if it's week 1, it's week 1. I think at bare minimum, it's going to be within the first 4 weeks. I would be very surprised if it's late in the season because, like, the NFL schedule makers know, okay, there's a chance that Justin Fields is going to be playing by then. Let's do it week 1, do it week 2, get it out of the way. really drive that storyline home and make sure that it's done. So I think that that'll be one that is done early, just again, so the NFL schedule makers can get the best story out of it possible. Now, is there a chance that Justin Fields wins the job? Sure, but they're going to take their chances with, okay, we'll put it week, early in the season. That gives us the best chance to see Russell Wilson go back to Denver. So we shall see. But if you have any other questions, comments, we'll do another 5 minutes and then I'll get on out of here for the day and for the weekend, I guess. Have a great weekend, everybody. And we'll be back Monday to talk more about, there'll be more minicamp stuff to talk about by then. Zay Jones got signed by the Cardinals today, so that's another receiver off the market if they were to go that route. But Zay Jones is now an Arizona Cardinal. So again, another receiver bites the dust. It's getting thin for the Steelers in terms of wide receiver targets. So again, that move will be done in June. Who it's going to be, your guess is as good as mine. We all know the names that are closely associated. We know kind of the second tier of names that would be kind of fallback options, but they can end up, I think that they're going to keep monitoring the situation with Courtland Sutton. And if he and Denver can't get something done and the Broncos, have to trade him, then, keep an eye on Pittsburgh. I think that they've done their due diligence on that. They reached out to Denver more than once. So they're doing their due diligence on this. But again, Omar Khan is very patient. He's not going to rush this. Fans might be getting antsy and worried, but you still got 4 months until kickoff. He ain't going to rush it. Here, how can I make the regular season feel closer for everybody? 4 months ago would have been wild card weekend. Yeah, 4 months ago they lost to the Bills. There you go. Doesn't feel all that long ago, right? Doesn't feel that long ago to me. I keep telling myself that just to keep, get me to camp. So if you think about how long ago it felt, like how long ago it feels that the playoff game was, cut that in half, and that's camp. Slowly but surely, we're getting there. And we'll be there sooner than you realize. And we'll be here every weekday night around 7:30 until we do get there. So appreciate everybody watching. As always, like and subscribe to the channel. Do all that YouTube stuff. Tell your friends about it. Have a good weekend. See you back here on Monday night for Black and Gold Breakdown, where we'll keep talking about rookie minicamp, any stories that come from rookie minicamp, anything notable. Hopefully more stories similar to what happened today. So have a good weekend. See you Monday night around the same time, 7:30. Talking all things Steelers. And again, Monday through Friday around 7:30 for the Black and Gold Breakdown. If you haven't watched the latest episode of the Pump Fake, top 36 quarterbacks, me and JP Acosta, I give him my list. He tells me where he agrees, disagrees. We go one by one. It's about an hour 10 minutes. So go watch or listen to that wherever you get your podcasts. The Pump Fake with Jarrett Bailey, top 36 quarterbacks, the most recent episode. And then next week we're going to be doing Trivia Bowl. We're supposed to do it this week, but everybody is adults and had adulting things to do, so we had to move it. But next week we'll be doing Trivia Bowl 14, which will be lots of fun. So like, subscribe, tell your friends to like, subscribe, get me to 1,000 subs before the end of the month. That would be lovely. And I will see y'all on Monday for more Black and Gold Breakdown.